In this video, I'll walk you through the ThinkTickle Calendar page, the standalone events surface. Earnings, SEC filings, analyst actions, halts, and macroeconomic events for the next 30 days, scoped to your watch list by default, filterable by event kind, and grouped by day. Every event comes with a one-line why this matters narrative written by the platform, not a generic feed. Calendar lives at the calendar route. Accessible from the More menu in the Research group. Free for every account tier, no upgrade gate. Header reads ThinkTickle with the calendar subtitle. Standard navigation next to it. Quick framing before we look at the filters. Most calendar feeds in trading tools are noise, every analyst action across the entire market, every minor filing, all mixed together. The ThinkTickle calendar is the same data feed the dashboard event strip and the panel near-term events section use. Same backend, same narratives, just rendered on a longer time axis and with filters so you can scan macro versus name-specific events. Consistency across surfaces is the point. Below the header is the filter bar. 2 filter groups. First group, Scope. 2 buttons. Watchlist, which shows only events for symbols already pinned in your watchlist, plus the count of how many symbols are being scanned. And All Names, which opens the feed to every covered ticker. Switch to All Names and the feed widens dramatically. Earnings calls for symbols you've never looked at, analyst actions across the corpus, SEC filings firing every few minutes. The default watchlist scope is the right starting point for most users because it surfaces the events for the names you actually trade. Back to Watchlist. Your watchlist comes from the scanner. Pin any row with the star icon and it joins this scope automatically. Second filter group, Kind. 5 buttons. All, Earnings, SEC, Analyst, and Macro. Each filters the feed to just that event type. Color-coded so when you scan event cards by their tint, you can pre-identify what kind of event you're about to read. Earnings, in amber. Quarterly earnings calls and pre-announcement releases. The most market-moving event type for a single name. SEC, in violet. SEC filings, 10K, 10Q, 8K, S1, insider Form 4s. Every filing the engine deems material enough to surface. Analyst, in cyan. Upgrades, downgrades, initiations, price target changes from covered analysts. Useful for spotting the day's sentiment shifts. Macro, in emerald. Economic events, CPI, FOMC, NFP, GDP, retail sales, anything that moves index futures across the entire market. These don't have a single name attached, they're always tagged macro and they affect everything. And all to bring every kind back. Note that halts also flow into the feed as their own rose-bordered cards. They're not in the filter buttons because halts are too rare to filter for, but they show up in all when they happen. Below the filter bar is the main content, events grouped by day. Each day is a sticky header in small caps muted text, for example, today Thursday June 8th, then tomorrow Friday June 9th, then Saturday June 10th. The today and tomorrow prefixes are explicit so you can scan the schedule without doing date math. Days with no event scope to your filter are simply absent. The list compacts down to just the days that have something. Now an event card. Same anatomy regardless of kind. Let me walk every piece. Card border and background, softly tinted to the event kind's color. Amber for earnings, violet for SEC, cyan for analyst, rose for halt, emerald for macro. The tint is subtle but it's a fast visual filter when you're scrolling. You read severity by color before you read the headline. Top row of the card. Left to right, a small icon for the kind, a trending up arrow for earnings, a document for SEC, a warning chip for analyst and halt, a globe for macro. Then a colored kind badge that names it explicitly. If the event is in the past, fired within the last 24 hours, a small recent label shows after the badge so you know the event happened, not is upcoming. Next to the badge, the event time in compact form, for example, 8:30 a.m. Then, when the event is symbol-specific, The symbol shown is a clickable button with an arrow. Click it to set that ticker as your global selected symbol, meaning the next page you visit that uses the chart panel will load already preloaded with this ticker. Useful for queuing a symbol to study deeper later. Far right of the top row, the source, muted gray, small. The data provider for this event. So you can know where the platform pulled the information from. Below the top row, the headline, bold, leading snug. The actual event title. Earnings call for NVIDIA Q1 2026, for example. Or, FOMC statement at 2 p.m. Below the headline, the Why This Matters paragraph. 2 or 3 sentences explaining why this event is on the radar. The backend writes this same line everywhere the event appears on the platform, so you never get drift between the dashboard's version and the calendar's version. Read this paragraph instead of guessing why the event is listed. On macro and earnings events, you may see a smaller line below the Why Matters, consensus, with the analyst forecast, and prior, with the previous reading. That's how you rate a macro event setup. Is the consensus aligned with prior? Is it expecting a hot print? Is the data likely to move risk assets one way or another? Each event card with a symbol turns that ticker into a clickable Q button. Click it and the symbol is set as your global selected symbol, meaning the next page you visit that renders the chart panel will load already preloaded with this ticker. The calendar page itself doesn't open a chart. It's calendar as index. Read here, click the symbol to queue it, then jump to the scanner, the dashboard, or the chart page to actually study it. Three states to know if events don't render. Loading shows a loading -- message during the initial fetch. Could not load events shows in red when the API fails, usually a transient backend issue worth refreshing for. And the empty state shows when your filter returned 0 matches either scope is watchlist but your watchlist is empty, in which case the message tells you to pin symbols on the scanner, or your kind filter is too narrow, in which case the message tells you to widen it. Scroll to the bottom of the page for the honest framing footer. 2 short sentences. First sentence, earnings dates are estimated from the most recent quarterly filing, accurate within roughly 1 week. That's important. Most earnings dates in the feed are derived, not confirmed, the company hasn't officially announced. They're the engine's best estimate based on the standard 90-day quarterly cadence. When a company moves their earnings date, it can take a few days for the feed to catch up. So treat the date as an estimate, not a calendar invitation. Second sentence, past performance does not guarantee future results. Standard disclaimer, but it's there because the calendar inevitably becomes a trading planning tool, and the team wants the disclaimer surfaced wherever the calendar gets serious. Below the disclaimer is a See the Public Scorecard link, taking you to the platform's transparent scorecard so you can see how the engine's calls have actually performed. Four workflows for the calendar page. Let me walk each one while clicking through the filter combinations that match the workflow. First, the weekly preview. Scope on Watchlist, kind on all. Skim every event card for the next 5 trading days. Note which watchlist names have earnings or significant filings coming up. Those are the names where you should be more cautious about overnight positioning, or more attentive to the 4 setup. Second, the macro radar. Switch kind to macro. The events shown are now the ones that will move index futures, CPI, FOMC, NFP, GDP. Read the consensus and prior lines. Mark your calendar for when the print drops. Macro days are different markets. Your scanner setups behave differently when a hot CPI is about to land. Third, the Newsday discipline. Switch kind to Analyst. When you see an analyst kind on a watchlist name, read the Why This Matters paragraph before you check the chart. If the narrative gives you a reason to expect the move, you're trading the catalyst with context. If it doesn't, you're trading the headline blind, which is usually a worse spot than not trading at all. Fourth, the queue workflow. Widen scope to all names so every symbol is visible. Now you're looking at every upcoming earnings call in the corpus. Find a name you want to study. Click its symbol button on the card to queue it, then jump to the scanner. Every chart you open is already preloaded with one of the names you flagged. Calendar becomes the morning playbook, scanner becomes the execution surface. Honest framing on the data. Reset back to watchlist scope with all kinds, that's the daily driver configuration. The Why This Matters lines are written by the engine, not by an analyst. They're descriptive of what's going on, not predictive of what will happen. Earnings dates are estimates within a week. Analyst actions are sourced from public coverage and may lag the wire by a few minutes. Macro events use the consensus from major data providers, which can be revised. None of this makes the calendar wrong, it makes it a tool, not a prophecy. On mobile, the filter bar wraps to 2 rows, scope on top, kind below. Event cards take full width. Day headers stay sticky so you can scroll through long stretches without losing your place. Symbol click still works the same, taps queue the global selected symbol so the next page that opens loads with it. That's the calendar page. Earnings, SEC filings, analyst actions, halts, and macro events for the next 30 days. Scope to your watch list by default, switch to all names when you want the wider read. Filter by kind when you're hunting for a specific event type. Read the Why This Matters paragraph instead of guessing. Use the symbol click to queue names for the next surface. And remember the footnote, earnings dates are estimates within a week, not invitations. Most traders open the calendar 3 times, at the start of the week to preview, at the end of every day to prep for tomorrow, and after the open if a macro print is landing soon. 3 opens a week, 2 minutes each. That's the rhythm the page is designed for. Know what's coming. Read why it matters.